How's it going, guys? Back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about the latest film in theaters as well as the latest entry into the Mission Impossible franchise, and that is Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. This is the 8th film in the franchise, and this franchise has shocked me for how long it's run and how well it's done and how it's up the ante in every single entry, and it's exceeded all my expectations ever since the 3rd film, really, because that's where it really started growing on me. To have the level of success that it has been really incredible and just a fun journey. And going into this movie, especially from the high of the last film, which I really enjoyed, and it's one of my favorite films in the franchise, I was really looking forward to this being like the final film in the installment and picking up right where we left off in the last film. And I have to say that there are definitely some positives in this film because overall it's a fun movie. The stunt work is incredible. Tom Cruise is just on another level all the time, trying to top what he did in the previous installments. And this movie has some thrilling moments. The cinematography is good. The stunt work is just on another level. Like no other action film is able to do this kind of work that late into the franchise and still kind of excite you as an audience member. The sound mixing is really good as well. And the story is serviceable. Would I say this is one of the strongest entries in this franchise? No. In fact, it's probably one of the weakest since the first 2 installments, actually. With that first act, I have to say that it was a slog to get through. There's so much flashbacks and exposition, and this late into a franchise, we don't need this catering, especially since we've stuck around and watched all these films. It's like, it's almost a disservice to kind of question our intelligence and say, well, do you remember this? Do you remember this? Do you remember this character that appeared 2 seconds in the other movie, and have a flashback to it? We don't need it. We don't also need to connect every single movie to this final film. It felt extremely forced. The pacing wasn't the greatest. Obviously, in the later stages of the film, it became much more enjoyable because it was kind of on that autopilot mode of super action mode. Though I will say there wasn't as much action as previous installments. The whole movie felt like it was on autopilot, like still well made, but it didn't have the life and the energy as some of these other entries in the series, like Rogue Nation, like Fallout, or even last film, Dead Reckoning. Characters are kind of shuffled around. They don't really have an equal amount of screen time. They're almost just there. They don't really have a whole lot to do. And it's kind of unfortunate because if this is the final film, you kind of want more screen time together as a team, as this unit. And whereas the first act made me think that this might be the last film because of all the flashbacks and they're trying to be all sentimental and everything. By the time this movie ended, it didn't really feel like a finale. It felt like just another Mission Impossible movie, and there'll be another one in the series. Didn't really stand out. The story itself with the entity, I think, could have been developed a lot better. The concept is interesting, and they started it in the last film, and they completely fumbled it with this entry. Like, it almost felt like Eagle Eye to me, just like a concept that is super interesting, but you do like the most blandest thing with it. And unfortunately, that's what happened here. The villains are kind of forgettable. Like, I didn't have a problem with exposition or the villain in the last film, which some people did. I did in this entry, unfortunately. I don't think they did enough with the villain. It was just kind of very forgettable. With the story, I just don't think that it was able to top anything that we saw in the previous entries. In fact, a lot of what it's doing is copying and pasting events from previous entries. So while a pretty entertaining action blockbuster, it was a bit disappointing because it did not reach the highs of the other films, especially since every film has surpassed my expectations and just gone further and further in just like elevating the stakes and feeling that energy. And the stakes didn't really feel that high. And how do you raise those stakes with each movie that keeps trying to top what it did in the previous film? So the biplane sequence is probably the best part of this movie, and I really enjoyed that aspect. But this movie needed more tension, it needed more finality, and it needed more cohesion with its co-stars, and it just was lacking a little bit there. So as much as I enjoyed the film, I do think that it needed work. And I don't know if this is like, I would want another movie, because I kind of want the last Mission Impossible movie to really stick the landing and feel like this final epic film in the franchise, like maybe No Time to Die. It had finality. I mean, I thought it was a satisfying ending. I know some people didn't, but to end the franchise like this, for example, kind of underwhelming. But overall, enjoyed the movie. I think it's a fun ride, maybe a little bit too long, but Tom Cruise is still fantastic, and you could tell he has a lot of love doing what he's doing and doing all these stunts and coordinating everything. It's definitely an entertaining and thrilling ride when those moments happen, when he's doing all that stunt work. Obviously, we're a little spoiled with all those other entries in this franchise. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, I will be giving 3.5 out of 5-star rating. Solid entry. I think most people will enjoy it. If you've enjoyed the other films, I think, you're gonna enjoy this. There's nothing, it's a well-crafted film, just could have been a little bit better. That is my review of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. If you like this video, please do give a thumbs up down below. Make sure to hit that subscription bar down below as well. And comment your thoughts on this movie. If you liked it, if you didn't, if you're planning on seeing this, or if you're gonna skip it and go see Lilo and Stitch. Please comment that down below. And as always, guys, I will see you in a later video.